He was already there when she stepped outside. Mud-caked coat, shoulders hunched, humming low with his back turned toward her porch. The sky was the kind of dying blue that made the ground look colder. She held the screen door open with one hand, the other gripping the frame like it might bolt. The tune floated across the dirt yard slowly and strangely, half swallowed by dusk. She knew it. Not the way you know a hymn or a radio song. The way you know a baby's breath when it catches in the night. She didn't say a word. The man kept humming, dragging the sound like it came from somewhere deep in his ribs. Then he stopped, turned, smiled. Her knees went weak. She didn't fall, but her hand clutched tighter around the frame. He tipped his head like he'd just remembered something. Evening. She stared. Where did you hear that? Hear what? That tune. He shrugged. Always had it. You got a name? He looked at her boots. You need one to stand still. She glanced toward the shotgun by the doorway. He didn't move, didn't flinch. Do you need supper? She asked. He nodded once. Don't sit, she said. Just eat. Inside, she dropped a pan on the stove without lighting the fire. Her hands shook. The man stood in the doorway, hat still on. You're cold. Cold enough, he said. She poured water in a dented pot, pulled bread from the tin, tore it in half, and handed it to him without looking. He took it like it meant nothing. You got kids? She froze. He chewed. She kept her back to him. Had one. Boy. It doesn't matter. He didn't press, just kept chewing like he knew the rules. The stove finally clicked, flame catching low. She stirred beans that weren't warm yet. You from this side? No. Passing through. He didn't answer. She turned. You hum that tune just for the wind, or you got a reason? He sat down then, right there at the kitchen table like it was his. You got ghosts in here, he said. She kept her voice flat. This house doesn't keep ghosts. He tapped his fingers on the table. Same rhythm as the lullaby. You don't even know what you sang, do you? I sang it to her when the fever took. He looked up. Her. She met his eyes. Don't say her name. He leaned back, rubbed a thumb along the rim of his spoon. Didn't say I knew it. You came here for something, she said. He nodded. What? He held up the spoon. The same one was in her crib. Her breath stopped. I buried that spoon. Not deep enough. She grabbed the side of the table to steady herself. You're lying. He placed the spoon on the wood. Am I? She stared at the curve of the handle, the tiny star etched into the neck, the same star she'd scratched in with a nail. Her voice came low. You dig it up yourself? Number just found it. Where? By the river, near the root cellar. That cellar's long gone. So's the girl. The wind knocked against the window. She didn't move. You come to haunt me? She asked. He looked around. Don't need to. You already are. She stepped forward, slow. What do you want from me? He stood, quietly, to see if the song was yours. And it was. She swallowed. You were there? No. Then how? Don't need to be there to carry a tune. She backed up, hit the counter. Are you staying here tonight? He didn't blink. Is that safe? No. He pulled his coat tighter. Then I'll stay. Her voice hardened. You sleep in the shed. He nodded. Fair. She walked him out, lantern in hand, jaw locked tight. He didn't speak again until they reached the shed door. It's a good tune, he said. She stared straight ahead. It wasn't just hers, he added. She turned to him. Then whose? His face didn't change. Mine. He stepped into the dark. She stood there long after the door shut, long after the wind died. The stars were out now, sharp and watching. Inside the house, she didn't touch the dishes, didn't blow out the lantern, just sat on the floor by the stove, her arms around her knees, rocking. And quietly, barely louder than her breath, she hummed the same tune, the same rise and fall. But now, it doesn't sound like hers anymore. It sounded shared, like memories passed between teeth, like something buried, dug up, given back. Outside, the shed stayed silent, but the wind carried the hum again, and this time, it was in her voice. He sat quiet at the table, coat still on, mud drying in clumps along the sleeves. She placed a cracked bowl in front of him, nothing but beans and salt. He didn't thank her, just picked up the spoon from his pocket, wiped it once on his pant leg, and started to eat. You carry that everywhere, she asked. He didn't look up, never let go of it. You got others? Nope. She watched his hand. The spoon tapped against the bowl every few bites, rhythm soft even, same pace as the lullaby. You always hum, she asked. When it's quiet. This place ain't quiet. He glanced around. Feels like it is. She didn't sit, just leaned against the sink, arms crossed, staring hard. You hungry? He asked. I already ate. Do you lie often? Only when it helps, he gave a half smile. Didn't mean to spook you. You didn't. He tapped the spoon again. The sound echoed just enough to settle under her skin. Where'd you learn it? She asked. Learn what? That song. He shrugged. Didn't. It was always there. You don't remember who first sang it? No. You sure? I remember it in my bones, not in my mind. She looked away. The kettle clicked on the stove. Half full, half forgotten. The air smelled like metal and dirt. That spoon got a story, she asked. Everything does. Tell it. He laid the spoon down. It clinked soft against the table. It was in a basket with a blanket, he said, found near the riverbank. She blinked. Who found it? He didn't answer right away. A woman with a limp. Said the basket was too small for what it carried. Carried what? Nothing by the time she got there. Her voice dropped. Are you saying that was mine? I didn't say that. She walked over, picked up the spoon, held it close to her chest. This star, she whispered. I scratched that in with a roofing nail. He didn't move. She'd grip it when she cried, she said. I left it with her the morning the fever broke. You left? I had to get to the doctor. Did he come? Too late. He stood then. Not fast, not slow, just enough to meet her eyes. Do you believe in echoes? He asked. No. He looked down. Then you've never heard one, right? She handed the spoon back. He tucked it into his pocket like it belonged there. She sat down across from him finally. What's your name? She asked. Don't use it. You got one, though. Names hold weight. I walk lighter without it. Why don't you stay long? I stay where I'm needed. She stared. You think I need you? I know you didn't ask for me. She poured herself water, hands trembling just enough to rattle the tin cup. You said the woman had a limp, she said. You see her again? Not after the river. She drank slowly. You don't look like someone who forgets easily. I don't. You forgot her? No. You forgot the basket? No. She looked at the fire. You forget the crying? He didn't answer. The wind outside had picked up. Loose dirt scratched across the porch. The old screen door creaked just enough to make her neck tense. You sleep in the shed? She asked. If that's where you want me. It's cold. I've had worse. There's a cot in the back room. He looked surprised. That for guests. No. He waited. It was hers, she said. She never used it for long. He didn't move. You sure? He asked. She nodded. It doesn't mean what it used to. I won't touch anything. You already did. They stood at the same time. She led him down the narrow hall. Dust floated in the lantern light. The door creaked when she opened it. The cot was small, frame bent on one side. A faded quilt lay folded at the foot. He stepped inside, looked around like he'd been here before. You changed the lock, he asked. What? He pointed to the door frame. Scratches there. Someone tried getting in before. I don't use this room. You do now. She didn't answer. He turned. You want me to hum? No. You want me to stop? No. He sat on the cot, took off his boots, waited. She lingered in the doorway. That song, it only had 4 lines. I know. Why do you hum more? He looked at her. Because sometimes 4 lines ain't enough. She nodded once, then closed the door. In her own room, she lay awake. Sheets are stiff, eyes open, listening. The wind settled. The silence stretched. Then, faint through the wall, came the hum. Low, careful, slow. She didn't cry. I didn't sleep either, only listened. Until morning. The knock came at dawn. Not rushed, not polite, just steady. 3 times. She wiped her hands on her dress and opened the door slowly. The sheriff stood there, hat off, eyes sharp. Mornin', she nodded. Didn't know it was Sunday. It ain't. Then why are you here? He looked past her. Got a man staying here? What kind of man? He raised a brow. Tall, mud on his coat. Doesn't say much. A lot of men fit that. This one hums. he said, low, constant, like he doesn't know he's doing it. She leaned on the doorframe. You hear that from town? Number heard it from the boy who saw him sleeping behind Jarl's mill last week. Then why come here? Heard he wandered this way. She folded her arms. You calling him a danger? I'm calling him a grave thief. Her mouth tightened. You got proof? Not yet. Then you don't have a charge. He stepped back. Have you seen him or not? No. He watched her face. You sure? I'd remember someone humming that much. He stared long. Tell him if you see him, don't run. Just come talk. She didn't answer. He put his hat back on. Funny thing about grave thieves, he said. They always carry something that doesn't belong to 'em. She shut the door slowly behind him. In the barn, he was fixing the hinge with a rusted nail and a hammer too small. He looked up when she came near. Sheriff stopped by. I heard. He asked if I'd seen someone. You lie? Yes. He went back to hammering. Said you were a grave thief, she said. He didn't pause. What am I? I said no. Still might be. She leaned against the post. You steal from graves? No. Ever dig one? He glanced at her. We all do, one way or another. She looked at the broken door. You fixin' that for guilt or shelter? Fixin' it so the cold doesn't get in. Doesn't mean you belong here. Didn't say I did. He tapped the nail in once more, wiped sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. You still not gonna tell me your name? She asked. No point. I'd remember it if you did. He met her eyes. Why do you want it? She didn't answer. He sat on the edge of the hay bale and pulled something from his coat. A broken hinge, same one from the door. Things wear down, he said. Don't mean you throw 'em out. You just patch 'em. Best you can. He started humming again. Same tune. Quiet, like it came from somewhere too far to hold. She didn't move, just listened. Then, before she even knew she meant to, she joined in. Just one line. The second line, the one her girl liked best. He stopped cold. His head turned slow. You remember that line? It was hers. It was mine, too. How? He stood up. Some songs live in more than one house. That ain't an answer. He looked at the ground. You sang it softly, like someone was still listening. She stepped back. Who are you? He didn't speak. Say it. His voice dropped. You don't want the name. I do. It'll change this. She looked at the dirt, the barn, the sky beyond the broken roof. Everything's already changed, she said. He put the spoon on the hay beside her. Then keep that. If I don't stay. You running? Only if I hear shovels. You should stay. He looked tired. You sure? She nodded. He sat again, picked up the broken hinge, turned it in his hands. I'm not a grave thief, he said, but I did find something buried. What? Myself. She didn't move. He went quiet. Inside her chest, something pulled tight. Then she said, If you won't say your name, give me something else. He looked at her hand, still resting near the spoon. Call me what she called me, he said. What was that? Brother. Silence followed, thick, steady. The wind picked up outside, rustling the barn roof, but neither of them moved. The tune stayed stuck in her throat, and his name stayed buried in his. She hadn't touched the ledger in 5 winters. It sat high on the shelf where his things stayed dusted but untouched, out of habit more than memory. But that morning, while the stranger mended the coop, she pulled a chair under it, reached up slowly, and brought it down like lifting something heavier than it looked. She wiped the dust off the leather, set it on the table, and opened it. The ink was faded, but the names still held shape. Townsfolk, supply orders, debts. Then came the family page. Birth, marriage, death. Her fingers slid down the names. Her name. Hi. Then, gone. The line where her daughter's name should have been was torn out. A whole page ripped. She froze. The tears were clean, not accidental, not old. She heard the back door creak. He stepped in, coat off, sleeves rolled, dirt on his hands. Stopped when he saw what she held. That's yours. Was his, she said. He walked slowly to the table. Didn't know you kept records. I didn't. He did looks neat. Wasn't. He leaned in, saw the tears. Page missing, he said. I see that. You know what was there? Yes. He didn't ask. She didn't speak. He pointed to the edge. Ripped clean, like someone wanted it gone for good. She nodded. He sat across from her. Quiet. She closed the book. He said, "Sometimes names bring fire." She looked at him. He added, "Sometimes they bury it." She didn't blink. Which one was she? He stood. "You'd know better than me." He left the room. She stayed still. The afternoon passed heavy. She didn't sweep, didn't cook, just sat. Near dusk, she stepped onto the porch, the ledger in her hands. He was sharpening a blade on the porch rail. "Have you ever ripped out a name?" she asked. "No." "Ever want to?" "Yes." She watched the blade. "Who?" He stopped. "Mine." She sat beside him. "You remember it yet?" "No." She nodded. "Me neither." They sat quietly. He said, "Did you dream last night?" "No." "You will tonight." She looked at him. "Have you seen it before?" "I've been where fire starts." She stood. "Then you know what it takes to stop it." "No," he said, "but I know what feeds it." She walked back inside. The ledger stayed on the table. When night came, she didn't light the lantern. She just laid down, eyes open, and dreamed. The crib was in the middle of the room. The blanket folded neat, doll beside the pillow. Then smoke, then flame. She tried to scream, but no sound came. I tried to run, but the room stayed still. She reached for the crib. It was empty. The fire burned around it, never touching it. Just circling, just waiting. She woke up sweating. Outside, the wind knocked soft against the shutter. She sat up. I walked to the table, opened the ledger again, felt the missing page like an open wound. He stepped into the room like he already knew. "You saw it," he said. She nodded. "Was it her?" "Yes." "She speaks." "No." He sat down. "You think the page was taken to erase her?" he asked. "Yes." "By who?" "Someone who couldn't bear to leave her in ink." He looked at her. "That's someone you—" She didn't answer. He picked up the spoon from the windowsill, turned it in his hand. "Sometimes fire doesn't mean death," he said. "Then what?" "Truth." "You think the truth burns?" "It always does." She stood. "What are you here to burn?" "Not sure yet." "You think she's still in this house?" He looked around. She never left. The ledger sat between them. The tears glared under the lantern light. He reached into his coat, pulled out a folded scrap, set it on the table. "What's that?" she asked. "Found it nailed to a fence post outside town." She unfolded it. A list of names, children. Her daughter wasn't on it, but hers was. "What is this?" "A roll call of those who were taken or forgotten." "Why's my name here?" "Maybe 'cause you remember." She stared at the names. His finger tapped beside hers. "Some of these aren't supposed to be known." She looked at him. "Then why keep the list?" "Because someone has to." He stood, left the room. She sat with the ledger, the list, the quiet. She didn't cry, didn't hum, just traced the torn edge of the page, and thought of fire that circled without touching. He didn't knock, just stepped up onto the porch like he owned the boards beneath his boots. She opened the door before he reached it. He smiled crooked, the scar on his jaw tugging the corner of his mouth out of line. "You're early," she said. "Didn't sleep." She didn't move aside. "Are you here on business?" He leaned on the door frame. "You've been housing a drifter." "Plenty of drifters pass through." "This one hums." "I don't ask men what they sing." "He carries a spoon in his pocket." She didn't answer. He glanced past her shoulder. "He inside?" "No." "You know where he is?" "He's working." "You pay him?" "He earns what he takes." He tilted his head. "Funny. A widow taking in a man without a name." She held his stare. "Funny how sheriffs die and the badge goes to boys with burned faces." His jaw twitched. "You remember me?" he asked. She looked him over. "No." "You should. I was there the night the fire started." "That night. Don't live here anymore." He took out a notebook, didn't open it. "Some say your husband kept things hidden in the ledger." "He kept debts and names." "Have you looked at it lately?" "Maybe." "Anything missing?" "Yes." "What?" "A name." "Whose?" She crossed her arms. "You came here to ask that?" "I came to see what you lost." She stepped forward. "Everything." He stared. "Not everything died." Her voice dropped. "You sure?" His hand brushed his jaw. I'm here, ain't I? You want coffee? She asked. He blinked. Sure. She turned, left the door open. He followed. Inside, the air was thick with wood smoke and something older. He didn't take off his coat. She poured coffee into 2 chipped cups, set one down hard. He sat. Does your guest leave anything behind? A tune. Catchy? No. You hum it? Sometimes. He sipped. That tune was heard in town. A couple boys say it led them to the graveyard. She sat across from him. Graves don't hum. Dead things don't stay quiet either. She stared at the scar on his face. How'd that happen? You were there. No, I wasn't. You were screaming. I screamed when I saw what they left me. He tapped the spoon on the table. You keep a lot of things, he said. You break a lot of things. He stood. I walked to the shelf, ran a finger over the ledger. You don't keep this locked. No one reads it but me. He opened it, flipped pages. Missing page is here, he said. I told you. Who took it? You want to guess? He looked at her. I think you did. Why? To forget. She stood. That girl didn't get forgotten. He closed the book. You know who else was there that night? He asked. No. Your husband, your brother, and me. She tensed. You ain't my brother. Didn't say I was. Said he was there. What did he do? He didn't answer. She stepped closer. Tell me. He pulled you out. Left someone behind. Who? You know. Her voice cracked. Say it. The child. She turned away. You blame him? He asked. I buried them both. You sure? She froze. What are you saying? Fire doesn't always kill clean. She faced him. That's enough. He held up his hands. I'm just looking for the drifter. You want him gone? I want answers. You think he's a thief? I think he remembers more than he says. Maybe you do too. He stepped close. You scared of him? No. Scared of me? Yes. He smiled again. Good. She didn't flinch. You should leave, she said. Not until I find him. Then look elsewhere. He walked to the door. Paused. I'll be back, he said. Don't knock next time, she said. Just walk into the fire. He didn't speak again. She watched him go. When he was gone, she opened the ledger one more time. She didn't cry, didn't hum, just stared at the space where her daughter's name used to be. The wind outside sounded like something trying to remember how to speak, and somewhere far off the humming began again. He said nothing when he stepped off the porch, just nodded toward the path behind the well. She followed, not quickly, not slow. She didn't ask where they were going. The tune was in his breath again, barely there, like something trying not to wake. They walked past the field, past the rusted fence no one had fixed since the fire. The woods thickened. Pines bent low, earth damp with the kind of silence that stayed under your nails. She hadn't been this far out in years. Do you always walk quietly? She asked. Only when it matters. Does it matter now? He didn't answer. Up ahead, the trees gave way to a clearing. Empty ground. Software turned. Fresh, but not new. How many? She asked. 7. No markers? He pointed. Flat river stones, worn smooth, one on each mound. She walked to the nearest one. Why here? The old sawmill's gone. Nobody comes back. She crouched, brushed dirt from a stone. No name, no date. This one's yours? He nodded. Maybe. Maybe. Could be my brother. Could be the boy I used to be. She stared at him. You buried yourself? In a way. She stood. Do you remember his name? Not clearly. Do you remember his face? He looked at the treetops. I remember what it felt like to see her carried away. That's all. She swallowed. You were there. He pulled the spoon from his pocket, held it in his hand a moment, then knelt, placed it in the dirt beside the stone. She gave me this, he said. Who? The girl in the fire. She stepped back. She was holding it, he said, when I pulled her out. You told me you weren't there. I lied. Why? He looked up. Because it hurts more to admit I couldn't stop it. She turned from him. What else did you lie about? Nothing important. That feels important. He stood. It was. She walked the line of graves. Each stone is the same. Some had bits of cloth, old buttons, and twine crosses. No names, no memories that stuck. You dig these? She asked. With my hands. Why? No one else would. You think one of these is her? He didn't answer. Is she dead? She asked. Not all the way. What does that mean? She stayed behind, somewhere, maybe in the song. She stared down. Have you ever dug the wrong grave? All of them feel wrong. He moved beside her. I brought you here so you'd see what forgetting looks like. I haven't forgotten. You buried her name. I didn't tear the page. He nodded. But you didn't stop it either. I was scared. I know. She crouched beside a stone, pressed her palm to it, flinched. It's warm, she whispered. I know. That's not right. No. She looked at him. You come here often. When the tune won't stop. She stood. Does it stop now? No. You want it to? He shook his head. It's the only part of her I've got. They stared at the graves. She said, Why show me? You asked if I remembered. I don't, but this place does. You think she's still here? She's waiting. For what? He looked at her. For someone to say her name. She wiped her hands on her dress. That name burned. Then speak what's left. Her voice dropped. Are you sure you want that? I need it. She stared at the stone with the spoon beside it. Then, quiet, almost breathless, she said it. The name. Just once. He didn't cry, didn't blink, just lowered his head like something let go inside him. The air shifted, the wind moved, leaves scattered across the graves. You feel that? He asked. She nodded. He took her hand. Hold it firm. Come back tomorrow, he said. Why? Because the tune'll be different. You think it changes? Everything does, once it's heard. She looked one last time at the grave with the spoon. Then they walked back, side by side. The woods are quiet again, but the tune stayed behind. She found the barn door open and his coat missing. Boot tracks led south toward the road that curled into town like a trap. She didn't run, just followed. At the edge of the jailhouse, the air was still, dry. Nothing moved, no smoke from the chimney, no horses tied up, just silence, heavy and waiting. She stepped inside. The sheriff was behind his desk, boots on the drawer, chewing something dry. You picked up my guest, she said. He didn't look up. Wasn't your guest. He stayed in my home. That doesn't make him yours. She stepped forward. You lock him up. I did. For what? For bein' watch. By who? Me. She gritted her teeth. What's the charge? He dropped his boots. Curiosity. You lose your mind? Number just lost patience. She glanced at the cells. Bars. Empty, except one. You think he's dangerous? Maybe. You question him. No need. Then let him go. He stood. I walked slowly around the desk. You care too much. She didn't blink. You don't care enough. He reached for the keys. Hesitated. You bring him food. She lifted the cloth. Cornbread wrapped warm. The sheriff squinted. He already ate. Let him eat again. He didn't stop her, just pointed. Far left. She moved down the hall, steps echoing, lights buzzing. The jail smelled like dust in old arguments. He was on the cot, head down, humming. She stopped. He looked up. Didn't expect you. I brought bread. Trade you for silence. Don't want silence. He sat up, took the cornbread through the bars. They say you walked into town without speaking. I did. They say you stared at the statue like it owed you. It did. Why? Because it was made from lies. She gripped the bars. You could have run. Didn't feel right. Do you feel safe? No. You trust me? He chewed. More than him. The tune started again. Low. Uneven. Like something missing a step. She closed her eyes. Let it wrap around her. Have you ever finished it? She asked. No one ever does. I tried once. What happened? I cried. He nodded. Then you sang it right. The sheriff appeared at the end of the hall. That's your song. She didn't answer. He stepped closer. Well? She stared at the stranger. Why do you hum it? She asked him. Because I can't forget. The sheriff frowned. Then it's yours. The man looked past him. It was hers first. Who's hers? The man didn't reply. The sheriff turned to her. You really don't know who he is? She said nothing. He's the kind that shows up after fires, walk between what was and what ain't. He's just a man. Number, he's a reminder. Of what? The sheriff leaned in. Of what you let happen. Her hand curled into a fist. You think I lit the match? No, he said. But you didn't pour water. She looked back at the man in the cell. You remember that night? Pieces. Enough. Too much. She stepped back. He's done nothing wrong. He exists, the sheriff said. That's not a crime. It is in this town. She reached for the cell key. The sheriff grabbed her wrist. You open that door, he said. You carry what comes out. She yanked free. Been carrying it. She unlocked the door. The man stepped out. Didn't speak. Just stood beside her like he'd always been there. The sheriff shook his head. You won't like what follows him. Maybe not, she said. But I trust what came before. He stared hard. Have you ever figured out why the tune never ends? She nodded. Because no one ever listens to the last note. Then they left. The cornbread lay untouched in the cell, and the tune kept echoing through the hall, soft and unfinished. She hadn't climbed the attic steps in years, not since the smoke cleared and the silence settled. But now her hands were on the rail, her breath held like she might cough up a name if she let go. The door groaned open. Dust scattered. The air was dry, but the wood still creaked like it remembered pain. She moved slowly, carefully, each step a memory she didn't want. The chest sat in the far corner, tucked beneath an old mirror in 3 broken frames. Lock rusted, key gone. She knelt beside it, felt the edge, cold. Her fingers curled around the clasp. It didn't open easily. She got a crowbar. The pop echoed too loud. Inside, yellowed cloth, brittle papers, a child's cup, a baby's left shoe, and folded beneath them, the quilt, small, software, still whole. She stared. It should have been ash. She lifted it gently. The pattern was the same, squares of blue and white, faded stars along the edge. Her breath caught, then she saw it. Near the bottom hem, a tiny stitch in black thread. A music note, just one. She hadn't sewn that. Her hands trembled. She turned it over, felt the seams. The thread was newer than the rest. Someone added it after. She whispered, Who touched this? Footsteps on the porch. She stood fast. He stepped in without knocking. I found it, she said. He stopped. Where? In the attic. He stared at the quilt. It's not burned. No. You're sure this is hers? I wrapped her in it. He nodded. Then it came back. She held up the corner. You do this? No. Then who? He didn't answer. She walked toward him. You know what it means? He looked at the note. It means someone remembered the tune. You? He shook his head. I forgot too much. Then who? He stepped closer. Maybe the one who pulled her out. She stared. You said that was you. It was. You carried her? Yes. She was breathing? Barely. Her knees buckled. She dropped onto the chair, quilt still in hand. You left her, she asked. I was told to. By who? He didn't speak. Say it. The sheriff. She swallowed hard. You followed orders. I was 16. You left her. I thought she'd be safe. She was a baby. I didn't know what they were doing. You know now? He nodded. Enough. She clutched the quilt to her chest. Then tell me what happened. They wanted her quiet. Why? Because her name was written down. In the ledger? Yes. And mine. He paused. Yours too. She stood. That's why the page was torn. He nodded. To erase the tie. But the quilt. Someone kept it. Who? He took a breath. Your husband. She froze. He gave it to me before he died. You said you didn't know your name. I lied. You lied a lot? He nodded. Because truth burns. Her voice cracked. You're my brother. He didn't answer. You're her uncle. He nodded once. I thought you were dead. I was meant to be. She sat again. Why the music note? She hummed it in her sleep. Tears welled in her eyes. She remembered it. Yes. She wasn't alone? No. He knelt beside her. She made it longer than anyone thought. She died. Not that day. When? After the ledger burned. She called for me. She never stopped. She looked down. I failed her. No, he said. You survived her. That's worse. He placed his hand on hers. You can carry her now. She looked at the quilt. It smells like her. He said nothing. She whispered, I want to go where she was. I'll take you. You sure? Yes. She clutched the quilt tighter. Don't let them stop us. They won't. You promise? With my last breath. She stood. He opened the door, and the tune started again. But this time, it was hers. She heard the boots before the knock, heavy, dragging, wet with something thicker than rain. By the time she opened the door, he was already swaying on the porch, lying on his coat, breath sour with whatever bottle he'd emptied since sunset. Evening, the deputy said, slurring, You're drunk. I'm remembering. She didn't move. You came to arrest someone. He smiled crookedly. I came to bury someone. You're on my porch. Be careful who you threaten. He stepped forward. Are you still keeping the boy with no name? You should leave. He didn't. You think he's yours now? He asked. He's no one's. He wiped his mouth with his sleeve. I saw her. She froze. What? In the fire, screaming, skin all curled. You weren't there. I was close enough. You ran. He laughed. You think you stayed? Her voice dropped. You say her name. I'll cut your tongue out. He leaned in. She was just ashes. Her hand moved fast, gripped the ledger off the shelf, cracked the spine across his temple. He dropped like a sack. Didn't move. She didn't scream. She dragged him to the cellar door. I opened it. Let him tumble down the steps. He moaned. She followed. The room was dark, damp. Dirt floor, stone walls, old blood in the corners that never scrubbed clean. He rolled over, coughing. You should have stayed gone, he muttered. I did. She grabbed his collar. You left her. Wasn't my job to save her. It was your fire. He didn't deny it, just closed his eyes. She let go. I walked to the shelf, grabbed the lye bucket, poured half into the drain. You came back for guilt, she asked. I came back because she didn't burn. Her hands clenched. She did. No, he whispered. She walked out. She knelt beside him. Say that again. She crawled, past me, into the woods. You lie. I followed the song. She slapped him hard. She was a baby. She was screaming your name. Tears burned her throat. She died, she said. She didn't. You're trying to break me. I don't have to, he said. You broke yourself. She stood. I walked to the stairs. Didn't look back. He laughed behind her. Then I coughed, then stopped. When she came back with the lantern, he was slumped against the wall, bleeding from the mouth. Not dead, but close. She didn't call for help, just grabbed the scrub brush and started cleaning. Blood smeared into the cracks. She scrubbed harder, hands raw, knees sore. That's how the stranger found her, kneeling, scrubbing, lanterns burning low. He didn't speak, just stepped down, saw the body, saw the brush. I saw her face. You all right? He asked. She didn't look up. He said she lived. Do you believe him? No. Then why are you crying? I don't know. He walked closer. What did he say? She walked out of the fire. Did you see her? No. He crouched beside her, took the brush, set it down. You think he was lying? He always lies. But you're shaken. Yes. They sat in silence. Then, without thinking, she hummed, just one line, broken. He joined her, same key, same rhythm, no words, just breathe, just memory. Then he stopped. You finished it, he said. No, you did. She looked at him. It didn't feel like mine. It was. She stood. I looked at the blood on her dress. What now? She asked. We bury him. Where? With the others. She nodded. He lifted the body. She opened the door, and for the first time, the cellar felt clean. They left before sunup. Fog clung low to the road, wetting her boots, stealing her breath. He didn't talk, just walked ahead, with shoulders square and back straight, like he'd rehearsed this path 100 times in silence. She followed, hand tucked into her coat, the weight of the folded quilt pressing hard against her side. Where are we going? She asked. You'll know it when you see it. How far? Far enough that they think you won't come. They didn't pass houses, just fences long swallowed by weeds, barns that leaned into the wind like tired old men. She recognized nothing. Are you sure this is real? I saw it. When? Before I forgot who I was. Convenient. He stopped. I looked at her. You can still turn back. She stared at him. You're not the only one who saw it. He nodded. Keep walking. By mid-morning, the trees broke open. There it stood, the old governor's house, tall, quiet, bones of white stone and blackened window frames. The roof slanted like it had bowed under the weight of secrets. The place looks dead, she said. It's not. Have you been inside? He nodded. What's in there? Things they shouldn't have kept. He pushed open the gate. It groaned. The porch steps gave a little under their feet. He didn't knock, just turned the knob. The door opened like it was waiting. Inside was darker than it should have been. Dust hung in the air like ash. No one lives here, she asked. No one alive? She paused. You mean that? He didn't answer. They moved through the front hall. Paint peeling, glass cracked. The walls held old portraits, governors and judges all wearing the same expression, power. She didn't look long. I didn't want to know their names. Where is it? Upstairs. He led her up the narrow steps. Each one creaked like a breath held too long. They stopped at the top of the hall. He pointed. That room. She walked first this time. The door was already open. She stepped in. Stopped. There it was. On the wall, hung with brass nails. Her quilt, but not like she remembered it. The squares were there, blue and white, but over them now were symbols. Some stitched, some burned. Circles, lines, a flame in red thread, a spoon sewn near the top corner. She stepped closer. What is this? They took it, he said. They made it theirs. Why? Because it held something they couldn't erase. She reached out. Her fingers touched the fabric. Still soft, still hers, but altered. She turned it back by the edge, gently. Faded ink, almost lost in the stitching. She read it out loud. For the girl who wouldn't burn. Her throat tightened. They wrote that. He shook his head. I did. She looked at him. When? The day I found it hanging here. She let go of the corner. They kept her story. They tried to rewrite it. With symbols. With lies. She stepped back. Why leave it here? He stared at the fabric. Because they wanted to remember without guilt. She clenched her fists. They buried her. No, he said, they displayed her. That's worse. I know. She walked the edge of the room, found a chair in the corner, sat hard. He stayed by the door, watching. She was just a child, she said. They knew that. They did this anyway. They do worse. She looked at him. You really don't remember your name. Only when I hear it in a song. She nodded. You said they took things, she said. They took what they couldn't destroy. Like what? Lullabies, names, clothes, fire. She rubbed her arms. It's cold here. He didn't move. You scared? She asked. No. You should be. I was. A long time ago. She stood again. I walked to the quilt. I want to take it down. You can't. Why? It's nailed to the wall, through the frame. She touched the corner again. Help me. He stepped forward, pulled a pocket knife. I began working on the first nail. It creaked, popped loose. She grabbed the edge. Hold it steady. Second nail. Third. The fourth wouldn't budge. I'll cut around it, he said. No. You want to leave it? I want to tear it out. He paused. You sure? Yes. He stepped back. She grabbed the fabric with both hands, yanked. The nail tore through. The quilt dropped. She held it, tight, close. I never got to bury her, she whispered. You don't have to now. She folded it, tucked it into her coat. Are we done here? He asked. No. She walked into the room. I opened the closet. Boxes. Rags. A drawer in the wall. She pulled it. Inside, more fabric, torn pieces. Names stitched in red. You see this? She asked. He nodded. Who are they? The others. She lifted one, read it, didn't say the name. She folded it, tucked it into her coat too. She turned. We burn this place. You ready? Yes. He struck a match, dropped it into the drawer. They didn't wait. They walked out as smoke curled from the upstairs hall. By the time they reached the road, flames were already at the roof. She didn't look back. He did. You still think she walked out of the fire? She asked. I think she carried it. She nodded. Hold the quilt tighter, then hummed. Just once. Quiet. Not broken. He joined her. For the first time, the tune sounded full, Finished. Alive. They kept walking. The house burned behind them, but the name, stitched in faded ink, stayed pressed to her chest. She didn't cry, didn't tremble, just walked, holding what they tried to take. They sat on the edge of the well just past dusk. The quilt was folded in her lap, worn corners soft from being touched too many times. He hadn't said much since the fire, since they'd watched the house collapse into itself like something ashamed of surviving so long. She didn't speak either, just watched the wind move over the field, watched the crows circle and settle in the far branches like old sentries. "You carried that name longer than I did," he said. She didn't turn to him, then say it. He ran his hand along the stones of the well. "You'll stop looking at me the same. I've already looked through you. I'm not who I was. You were never who you said you were." He nodded. Fair. She waited, still, quiet. He said it. Software, not the name from the ledger, not the one stamped on hospital paper or gravedigger forms, but the one she whispered into her baby's ear when the world was dark and cold and the bottle wouldn't take. The one only the girl ever knew. Her voice cracked. "Where'd you hear that?" He looked at her. "From you." "That night?" "Number years before." She blinked. "You were there." "In the corner of the barn. Watching." "You were just a boy." "You were a mother." She clutched the quilt tighter. "I only said that name once. When the fever broke, she was so still." He nodded. "She wasn't gone yet." "No." "You sang it to her." "I didn't know anyone heard. I didn't know I remembered." She turned toward him now. "You're saying they took her name from you?" He swallowed. "They made me forget it. Said it wasn't mine. Said boys don't carry soft names." She looked at the ground. "I didn't know you lived." "I didn't." "You were in that barn." "I was under it." "You crawled out?" "They pulled me." "Who?" "The sheriff's men." She shook her head. "Why?" "They thought I was hers." "You were." "Number they meant theirs." Her breath caught. "They changed your name." He nodded. "Burned the record, made a new one, taught me a song I didn't know the words to. But you kept humming the old one. It hummed itself." She reached out. Her hand grazed his sleeve. "You're saying, you're mine." He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Her eyes welled. "I buried you." "They buried someone." "You, I don't remember the crib. I don't remember your arms." "You remember the tune?" "Yes." "That's how I knew." He looked at the quilt. "That was mine." She nodded. "You held it when the fever broke." "I held it when the house burned. I stitched that fire into the corners. I thought it was gone." He reached for the edge. "It came back." They sat quietly. She whispered, "They took everything." He looked at her. "Not everything." She bit her lip. "They took your name." "And gave me silence." "Why'd they keep you?" "To unmake me." She gripped the stone beneath her. "Did it work?" He stared ahead. "Almost." "Do you remember anything else?" "Bits." "Like what?" "Your voice in the dark. Water boils. The weight of a hand. Mine? Maybe." She closed her eyes. "I never stopped waiting. I never started hoping." She turned to him. "Say it again." He did. The name, clearer this time, stronger. She broke, but she didn't cry. Just let her shoulders fall. Just let her heart ache. "I said it so she'd stay," she whispered. "I kept it so I wouldn't vanish." "You think it still belongs to you?" He nodded. "It always did." She stood. I walked to the edge of the yard, looked out across the land. He followed. "You ever wonder why they did it?" she asked. "Power, erasure, control." "No." "Then why?" "Because they knew love could live in a name." He nodded. "So they gave me another." "What was it?" He said it, short, sharp, cold. It didn't fit him, didn't fit anything. "That's what they called you?" "Only when they needed to remind me I was theirs." She turned. "Not anymore." "No." "Say it again. The real one." He did. She smiled, weak, honest. "That name was never meant to burn." "No," he said. "It sings." She reached for his hand. "Hold it tight. We can write it again," she said. "In what?" "Thread, ledger, stone." He looked down. "Song's enough." She nodded. They stood in silence. Then he hummed it. Just once. Full. And this time she sang along. She stood in the doorway of the barn before the sun rose. The sky was gray, not yet light, but the morning felt dry in the throat, like the world knew what she was about to do and didn't care to bless it. The matchbook in her coat pocket shifted when she moved. She didn't touch it, not yet. The barn hadn't been used in years, not since the night the fire took the name off her tongue, not since the sheriff and the ledger and the men with their lies made her bury what she carried. She walked to the center of the barn floor. The air still smelled of old hay and rot, as if nothing had changed except her. The stranger waited outside, not close, not far, just enough to be part of it. She knelt where the cradle used to sit, where the song used to live. "You sure?" he asked. "Yes." "You don't have to." "I do." He nodded. She lit the first match, dropped it on the quilt, the one she used to wrap him in. It caught on slow, hesitated, then climbed. Smoke curled upward, thin and gray, before thickening like breath choked in grief. He didn't flinch, didn't speak. "You remember the tune?" she asked. He nodded. "You remember who it was for?" "Yes." She looked at the flame. "I don't." "You do." "I want it gone." "You don't." The barn crackled, wood popping, sighing, like it had waited to burn. She stood. I watched it rise. The sheriff came up the hill, hands in pockets, gun holstered. He didn't draw, just stood at the fence line. "Are you doing this?" he asked. She didn't answer. He looked at the man beside her. "You told her the truth." The man nodded. "Does she believe you?" She said, "I don't need to." The sheriff stepped forward. That barn belonged to a child. It belonged to a lie. He looked at the fire. "And what do you think that fixes?" "Nothing." "Then why?" "Because the tune never stopped." He rubbed his jaw. "I tried to keep it buried." "You failed." He nodded. "I know." "Why'd you do it?" she asked. "Because we couldn't afford to let her name live." "Who's we?" "The ones who kept this town quiet. The ones who took her." He didn't speak. The fire cracked again, louder this time. A window pane burst. She didn't move. The man watched it burn. "You ever hum it?" he asked the sheriff. "Once." "How'd it feel?" "Like guilt." She stepped toward him. "You watched us bury each other." He nodded. "I was young. We were younger. I didn't know it would stay with me. You hear it now?" He nodded. "Good," she said. "Now it belongs to you too." He stepped back. "What happens now?" "You don't get to ask." The flames rose higher. The roof gave a slow moan. A beam shifted, fell. She turned to the man beside her. "You walk with me?" "Always." "You sure?" He looked at the fire. "I don't look back." "I know." They walked, past the barn, past the sheriff, past the names in the ledger that no longer lived. The sheriff didn't follow, didn't stop them, didn't speak again. By the time they reached the house, smoke curled into the sky like a song. She sat on the porch, pulled the last piece of thread from her pocket. A looped note, black on white. She hummed. One line, then the second. He joined her on the third. And on the fourth, she sang. Software not for the child, not for the man, but for herself. "You remember what it meant?" he asked. "No." "You don't have to." "I want to." He held the last piece of the burned quilt, laid it beside her. "You kept it?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because some fires don't eat everything." She closed her eyes, listened to the flames still crackling in the distance, to the silence in the sheriff's footsteps as he walked away, to the hum still, vibrating in her chest. "You think she hears it?" she asked. "Yes." "Wherever she is?" "She's not far." "You believe that?" He looked out past the fields. "I believe in songs that don't end." She leaned back. "Then sing it again." He did. And this time she sang louder. Let it echo. Let it carry. The barn collapsed behind them. The smoke rose straight. She didn't flinch, didn't weep, didn't close the door, because the tune never left, and now it never would.